paywall that Bloomberg seems to be putting up. Look at this. You go to Google News, right? And it's advertising this article. You click on it. Let's see what happens. Oh, it's blurring out. Oh, now you get this. What in the world is going on here? It's blurring out. At first, you don't even know what's going on. Then it's blurring out. But let's see what's going on here. Let's go back here. And let's take it here and just share it somewhere. Then go here. And I've installed this read aloud thing. And for some reason it starts reading it aloud eventually. But even that only gets a clip of it. So let's...
Andreessen Horowitz, a 16Z's Chris Dixon sees Web3 riches. Others see rubbish, Bloomberg. For Andreessen Horowitz's Chris Dixon, there are billions of dollars at stake in the blockchain-based future of the internet known as Web3. But even as the venture capitalist charms his investors with dreams of what this next stage could bring, his vision relies on an Will they, though? If the first version of the internet was read-only, and the second allowed us to upload our everyday lives to MySpace and Facebook, Web3 is where we get to own those outcomes and take them with us. Instead of the tech giants making money from your data, proponents like Dixon believe in decentralizing their power via blockchain networks. Everyone gets a share of the prize, everyone gets a say in how it's run, and it's all written down publicly so nobody can quibble. It sounds like progress, and yet even in infancy, this digital utopian plan has faced criticism for not achieving its goal. Major crypto and blockchain-based companies like Coinbase Global Inc. and OpenSea already claim massive market share, poised to become the next Meta Platforms Inc. and Alphabet Inc. Meanwhile, as Twitter Inc. co-founder and Bitcoin advocate Jack Dorsey has pointed out, a handful of venture capital firms own most of the Web3 market. Andreessen, also known as a 16Z, is at the top of the list. Last month, Dixon offered up an explanation for this contradictory state of affairs. Web3 isn't actually trying to decentralize everything, he said. Instead, its main aim is to return control of the network effects of Web2 to the people, a phrase here meaning the value you gain from diligently using a product over time, like building your friends list on Facebook or your painstakingly curated music library on Spotify. Right now these effects are locked to their platforms and incentivize you to stay with those providers, a key strategy for most companies in the tech sector. Blockchains provide a powerful new way to build networks where the network effects accrue as public goods, as they did in Web 1, said Dixon in a Twitter thread. In Web 3, that data becomes portable, reducing the stickiness these big firms have mastered. Networks. That's because in Web 2 the network effects accrue to private companies like Twitter. cdixon.eth at cdixon, January 23, 2022. Again, this sounds like progress, at least from a user's perspective. But the big ideas around Web 3 ignore some key concepts of commerce and even privacy. At the very least, they fail to take into account how different businesses attract new users and manage existing ones. These are proprietary models that go right to the core of modern business economics. Why would they give up the thing that's keeping their customers from going to rivals? Where are the incentives for companies to embrace public blockchains that allow data to be transferred seamlessly? Dixon's answer is that large platforms won't have any other option but to be interoperable in Web 3. Get with the times, or become obsolete. This is a classic kind of technological push meeting the reality of humanity. It's a very idealistic technology, said Catherine Flick, who teaches computing and social responsibility at De Montfort University in the UK city of Leicester. The idea is good, the theory is good, but in practice, it's rubbish. Watch, Web3 explained in 3 minutes. So how would it work in Dixon's world? Let's say Twitter becomes a Web3 company, and you want to put your follower list on a blockchain network. You do this because you want to move to a new social media platform, but don't want to lose the audience you worked so hard to build. This is a key conundrum of many online creators these days, who want to get big on the hottest new app but have no control over their network effects. YouTubers largely failing to replicate follower counts on TikTok, for example. Once on a blockchain, you import that data into new app. This is also possible because in Web3, users can connect their digital identities to their Twitter accounts through a product like MetaMask. Now, your Twitter followers are signed up to follow you on new app. You haven't lost your audience. Web3 is every creator's dream, etc. You could also transplant this scenario to be about moving a company's client list from one software to another, or retaining customers earned on platforms like Etsy. Web 1. Read. Web 2. Read, write. Web 3. Read, write, own. cdixon.eth at cdixon, February 8, 2022. Within this data transfer, though, where are the provisions on requiring users to opt into new services? For example, companies can be fined up to 4% of global annual turnover if they try to onboard new customers without consent. Perhaps that could be sidestepped by allowing users to opt in individually on Web3 Twitter, providing passporting permission to the creators. Would this be done on an account-by-account basis? Say, as a user, that I want to give that right to Jay-Z, but not Logan Paul. How many smart contracts would that take to engineer, not to mention my own time, when I follow thousands of accounts? And who takes responsibility for this interoperability? Will all platforms contribute to the costs? These are a lot of unanswered questions, and here's one more. Who decides which blockchains are worth incorporating without a large degree of centralization? Companies like Meta make it hard for you to transfer data out of its network on purpose, and its vision for the metaverse is unlikely to be any different. Read more. Web3, NFTs and crypto aren't fixing Web 2.0 anytime soon. But perhaps the most glaring issue of all with decentralized but not Web3 is one that every company has struggled with over the last decade. To illustrate, so you take all your users to new app by blockchain, as easy as pie relatively. But why would they follow suit? Sure, if this is like TikTok, then maybe you can rely on market effects to naturally push everyone over to the new platform given time. But what if new app doesn't have the benefit of being so in demand that everyone's already thinking of making the shift? Web3 theories like Dixon's rely on this side of human nature being a thing of the past. It's like they just got two halves of an orange and they're trying to stick it together, Flick said. The whole thing is just so blinded to how people actually use the internet, and how they actually interact with other humans on the internet. The music royalty of Beyoncé and Jay-Z offer a cautionary tale. In 2016, Beyoncé limited the streaming release of her sixth album, Lemonade, to her husband's Tidal platform. Though it remained there for 3 years before being released more widely, even the star power of one of the world's best-selling recording artists couldn't elevate Tidal to the same rank as Spotify or Apple Music, despite the former offering just as many millions of tracks. Beyoncé's star power wasn't sufficient to give Jay-Z's Tidal the boost it needed to take on rivals. If Beyoncé fans could have moved their entire lives, it was difficult because of human nature, not technological failings. It's unlikely to be something that simply being easily transported via blockchain could fix. Yes, Web 2 network effects are annoying. I barely look at my Facebook account, but I keep it to remind me of people's birthdays. Web 3 only solves this, though, when people are engaged enough to move en masse and to wholly embrace those platforms, which right now is painfully complicated.
I guess that's it. That's the end of the article. Let's see if that's true.